Hello, welcome to another edition of Fix Your Club. Today's is the Liverpool edition. Yeah, there's not much we really have to say about this one. Yeah, there's not much we can do about the Liverpool team right
Okay, let's break it down. Let's break it down. The end of the season, in the Champions League final, heartbreaking defeat to Real Madrid, and also finished second in the Premier League. So they're a great side. Right? There's surely room for improvement, right?
Yeah. Okay. So let's look at their team. Obviously, Alisson, Trent, Konate, Van Dijk, Robertson. Let's just say that's their best back five.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue every player that you just named is world class. Yeah. It's quite scary.
But here's where it gets a bit interesting. The midfield. Fabinho, obviously Jordan Henderson still gets a lot of games. So there's room for improvement there. But this season, do you think there's anyone that they could sign to improve? Okay, so let's look at who they have signed already this summer. So they've signed Calvin Ramsey.
Yeah.
For how much?
So it was about £6 million of add-ons. Probably take it to around £10 million. The Scottish League Young Player of the Year.
Great business. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Very good fullback.
Having sold Nico Williams to Forest for £16 million. I mean, wow. It's the type of business Liverpool do, right? Yeah. The rest of their defense, in terms of the backup options, if you even call them that, Joel Matip, Joe Gomez, Costa Simicas, the level of players we're talking about here, we're talking about some of the best defenders in the Premier League.
Yeah.
All three of them.
Would start for most teams.
Yeah, almost every team.
Yeah.
That's the level we're talking about here. So even the backup goalkeeper, Kelleher, he's proven himself to be a talented guy. He's probably a Premier League level goalkeeper. So they're completely covered defensively, right? In midfield, as you mentioned, I've seen Liverpool fans asking for a midfielder, complain about that, because I guess that is the next place to improve, right? But where do you find the level of midfielder Liverpool are looking for?
Yeah, so if they want to improve, they gotta get the best.
They've got to get the best. We're talking Jude Bellingham, right?
You've seen him linked with them a lot this summer. Obviously, Dortmund have come out and said he's untouchable this year, and if he is to leave, it will probably be next season.
Yeah, I think for a player like that, it's worth waiting if you believe that you have a good chance of getting him a year later. It's worth waiting and not signing someone else instead. And whether it's Jude Bellingham or another player at the level that Liverpool are looking for, that should be the mentality. So, apart from Jude Bellingham, do you guys have any options that would be suitable for Liverpool in your opinion?
Bellingham would be perfect though.
He really would. I think he's the number one option for sure. Yeah, any team would want him though. But I think Liverpool would be in a good position to attract him. You know?
I mean, obviously they were linked to Tchouaméni as well, but he's gone to Real Madrid now, so that's not possible.
Yeah. We're really looking at the cream of midfield talents, aren't we? Right?
If we're talking about Jude Bellingham, that's the cream.
Yeah. And to improve Liverpool, you need that. Exactly. Sometimes, fans just want a signing, right? Just to say, okay, well, it's better than not having a signing.
Liverpool fans need to look at what has got them to this position that they're at now. What has got them to be one of the best teams in the world again.
Yeah.
And it has been patience. It has been getting the right players. It has been not making panic buys like they did this summer. But we'll talk about that very soon. But that's what it's been. So what's it? Michael Edwards?
Yeah.
Yeah, he done a great job, and he's not. He left Liverpool now, and we've seen there's already a difference. But let's just hope that it's
what are you referring to when you say
Darwin Núñez? That's what I'm referring to.
Okay, I see like you want to get something off your chest. Let's hear it.
No, we'll get there eventually. Let's continue. Let's finish about the midfield.
All right. Then... So, any other ideas? Who are players who you think, even if not right now, could be world-class midfielders that could improve the Liverpool team in the next year or so?
Oh, Pedri?
Pedri, I mean, that's
Gavi?
Morella.
Barella? He would be brilliant as well, to be fair.
All of these guys would be brilliant, but they're all tough, right? They're all tough to sign. That's the problem. Would they be available? Would they even want to leave their clubs? That's the question, right?
Bellingham is probably the one out of all of those that will be most likely to want to come to Liverpool. Or, I mean, Liverpool, a massive club right now, so a lot of these players would come, but Barcelona, they're not going to sell Pedri unless they have to. They're not going to sell Gavi unless they have to.
Agreed.
And come on, you know how these Italians are. When they're at the big teams in Italy, they're not leaving.
No.
They're only leaving to another big team in Italy or Real Madrid. But yeah.
A guy I'm going to mention, just as an outside wild shot, Moises Caicedo from Brighton. He's only just started playing in the Premier League, but he's the type of player who I think in a year or so, people could really, be talking about as someone to go to Liverpool or Chelsea or a team like that.
He's a very good player. I think he's already shown the limited appearances he's had at Brighton. He's shown that he has the potential to be a very, very, very top player.
Yeah. I'll just mention someone who has been linked to Liverpool this summer, Matheus Nunes from Sporting Lisbon. Yeah. That's the type of player for me, from what I've seen, I don't think he improves the Liverpool team. I think he'd give them another option, and maybe it's worth it to have another option. But when you're building a squad like Liverpool's, you don't need to go after players like that, in my opinion. Manchester City don't need to go after players like that. Everyone they go for now can be a top player because that's all they need. Your competition now is Manchester City, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Paris Saint-Germain. These are the teams you're competing with. If you're not signing players that's going to help you overtake them, I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, I agree. But let's talk a bit about Fabio Carvalho.
Yeah.
And that signing. So, how big a role and what role do you think he'll have to play at Liverpool this season? And in what position do you think he'll play? And how often do you think he'll play?
I think he may surprise people. I think he could honestly, by the end of the season, become a regular in this team. I think he's got a lot of ability and he's a really intelligent player. I think he could play in the midfield three as a number 8, and there's been rumours that Jurgen Klopp is looking to change to more of a 4-2-3-1 at times this season. I think in that number 10 role, he'd be perfect as well. I think he's the type of player who can make the transition to the Premier League quite easily and look comfortable in this Liverpool team. I really do. How about you?
I've always been a fan of him since I first watched him for Fulham. Yeah, he's just, he reminds me a bit of, in terms of when it comes to his mental attributes, the Thomas Mullers, the Musialas, they're always ahead of the game, ahead of everyone else in the game, because they're just geniuses when it comes to final third play. They already know everything that's happening around them. They make the perfect runs, in behind the strikers, make space for teammates, very unselfish. Yeah. And what impresses me most about Carvalho is that he has all of those attributes, all those mental attributes, but he also has the technical attributes as well. Very gifted technically, very good dribbler of the ball, can pass, can finish. He's a player that not only that I think will create a lot of goals, but I think he'll be able to get a lot of goals as well.
Yeah, and it's really important in this Liverpool team as a midfielder to have the off the ball stuff. To be a good presser, to be able to get around the pitch quickly. He's not afraid to put in the tackle. He's also that. So and that's why I think he could play as a number 8 as well. And when you look at how Klopp had used someone like Mario Götze when he was Dortmund manager, a decade ago, I think in that kind of role, Carvalho could really thrive. And they haven't really had that type of player. He had Coutinho, who's a slightly different type of player. But since then, they haven't really had that type of player at Liverpool. And if it works and they can get the balance right, then that's more goals from midfield. Which that's been the argument for a lot of people. Do they get enough goals from midfield? Right? They've got an attack that should score a lot of goals, but does their midfield get enough goals? Right? Just also on the midfield, Harvey Elliott's come back from injury. He's another option. He was really impressive at the start of last season before he got injured. So they've got a lot of, if we look at Fabinho and Thiago as starters, Jordan Henderson and James Milner as experienced heads, and Naby Keita as well. It's a lot of different types of options. I think they're fine for this season personally.
Curtis Jones, you think
Curtis Jones
this season a bigger role?
I think
he needs to go and learn, or
that's an interesting one. I think he's got the ability to contribute, but maybe for his development, it would make more sense to go on a loan, play 30, 40 games somewhere, and maybe then he could come back to Liverpool ready to play a bigger role. It's interesting, but Klopp is the type of manager who I think can develop you in-house. He knows what he's doing. Even he'll play you enough. He'll use you in the right positions and things. So it is a tough one.
Yeah. So let's move on to the forwards now. Liverpool legend just left the club. Yeah. Sadio Mane.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You're talking about him. I thought you were talking about Origi.
Oh,
no, I'm joking. Look, Mane is a huge loss.
Massive loss. So how you think they'll be affected with losing Sadio Mane?
I mean, the thing with him, he's so consistent. He's so perfect for how they played, and obviously for a long time he played in that role on the left. But at the end of last season, he was playing more as a striker, right?
Yeah. So I saw that. A lot of people, saying that he only played up front because he might be losing some plays. He's not the same player he used to be. But what are your thoughts on how he performed up front?
I thought he was top. I thought I saw parts of his game used more effectively up front. Because what you have with Sadio Mane is, he is a goal scorer. You can trust him to be in the box and get into the right positions, but physically he's got the hold up play. He's also got the things that someone like a Roberto Firmino gives you. He's the pressing. He's got everything. He's got a bit of everything as a centre forward. So, and the things that you get from someone like Diogo Jota, he also, you don't really lose that when you have Mane as well. And he's great in the air. So he had a lot to the game, and it allowed obviously Luis Diaz to come into the team.
Yeah. So that's
good. So the question is, how are they going to replace him?
How much did they spend on their striker this summer? 100 mil? 120 mil?
120 mil.
I don't know.
It's I've seen a lot of different figures.
Yeah, it was around 88 million, right?
88 million. That sounds about right. Yeah. Sounds about right.
On the Portuguese league top scorer,
Darwin Núñez. What are your thoughts? Guys?
I mean, his first season at Benfica wasn't fantastic, but last season he came. Was there a change of manager?
No.
Oh, so okay. I guess it was just him.
Well, actually, to be fair, in the second half of the season, they changed their manager, but he was already on a good spell of form.
Okay. Well, I don't really have much to say about Liverpool. For me, this is the only point. I don't know if Darwin is gonna, for me, getting rid of Mane and then bringing in Darwin is not, it's not the same level. And I don't think he'll reach the same level as Mane in terms of a player. But I guess with the other signings, with the Carvalho, I feel like getting rid of Mane, you need to replace him. Because it's hard to replace him for so you need to replace him with two players. And I think Carvalho and Darwin could do a good job in terms of like what you said about the 4-2-3-1, it makes a lot of sense to me now, because obviously now Mane's gone, physicality, intelligence, the dribbling, the hold up, all those things are kind of gone, and you can't, it's like, to find one player who can do all of that stuff is gonna cost you. It's gonna cost way too much. So signing Fabio Carvalho and then signing Darwin Núñez as well as the forward, I think. I mean, it's good business, and they're good players, but I don't think they can. I don't know if it's gonna have the same. If they're gonna be as good as how have the same positive impact that Mane had. Both of them together on the pitch, as good as they are.
Okay, well, do you feel like Darwin Núñez is the best option that they could have signed?
I can't see it for the price. I think Darwin Núñez could score a lot of goals this season. Yeah. Right.
Anyone could score goals.
Yeah, in that team. I think a lot. That's the thing.
Origi could score goals in that team.
I think a lot of players would score goals in that team if you play them every week up front in that Liverpool team.
Mm-hmm.
Am I convinced that he's the best they could have done? No. I think if I look at someone like Victor Osimhen at Napoli, he probably would have cost a similar amount, and he offers more.
He's way better.
Yeah.
Let's not sugarcoat it now, because this Darwin Núñez guy, we've seen he scored all these goals in the Portuguese league. Go and watch these goals that he's scoring. These are looking like a bit of match fixing going on, but obviously this is all speculation. So you can't be so sure on that. But come on, guys, man.
I mean, he's the type of guy you watch and nothing looks clean. Like
he's a scrappy.
Yeah.
I look at him as like a more. He's like Lukaku with more. He's a scrappy Lukaku. Lukaku. I don't think Lukaku likes to scrap, but Darwin Núñez for me, he looks like somebody who wants to try and body guys. He wants to.
They might as well have signed Mitrovic then. He scored more goals in the league. That's probably better than the Portuguese league Championship.
That's a fair point.
I
think he's got the speed as well. That's the thing. He's a kind of, it's a complete physical package.
I think the physicality is what really drew Liverpool to him.
I agree, probably, but I'm gonna make one bold claim now. He's gonna be out of the team before the end of the season.
Oh, okay.
Klopp will drop him before the end of the season. Whether it's for Jota, Firmino, or even Carvalho, maybe he'll try him in false 9 position or something. Maybe he'll change formation, play Carvalho behind Jota. But for the good of the team, he'll be dropped.
Oh.
He cannot play in every single game. He might play in the big games, because I feel like Darwin Núñez is a player. He's a big game player. His attributes are for big games.
I understand that.
But he's just not that good.
Yeah.
Like, he will never be a world-class player. Never, ever. Never be a world-class player. I don't even think he'll be close to world-class. He might get the amount of goals where some of you guys who say Bruno Fernandes is world-class will try and say, this guy's world-class. Look at all the goals he scored.
Right. But, as a player, in terms of what he's actually adding to the team, you don't think he'll ever be.
There's so many other players you can get that will do the exact same job, in my opinion, You can't tell me he's a better striker than Jamie Vardy. You can't tell me he's a better striker than.
Yeah, I mean, you're not talking about Jamie Vardy right now. You're talking about.
I'm talking about Jamie Vardy, where where his best attribute was the same as Darwin Núñez,
right.
which is is off the ball,
right?
Being a live wire.
Yeah,
okay, that's one thing Darwin Núñez offers, in my opinion, which is which separates him from other players. He likes to run. He'll run for the whole game. He's not gonna get tired. He's such a big guy. His physicality is special, but come on, man, we're talking top level football here. Don't buy players just off physicality.
I think one guy that kind of comes to mind who there's elements of him in Darwin is Diego Costa.
Okay.
I think in terms of what you mentioned about in big games. If Liverpool are struggling in moments, you can kind of just use him, get the ball up there, and use him as a bit of a battering ram, and he'll keep you in the game. He's gonna always be moving. He's gonna always be active. So there's definitely pros to signing him, and maybe it's the type of situation where he's never worth the money they paid for him. But
a player with this set of attributes should never be worth more than £30 million.
Oh wow!
In my opinion. Right, when you're big and you can't even hold up the ball, what's the point?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. But I think
he's not even a good finisher.
Yeah, I don't think he's a natural finisher. I agree with that. I don't see that. I don't see. Yeah, I don't see. But he could still score goals as you mentioned. So it's weird. It's like we say this about a player, and then if he scored 23 goals in the Premier League next season, would I be surprised? No.
Listen, if Darwin Núñez scores 23 goals, that's Liverpool. I feel like are gonna struggle next season because the only way he's scoring 23 goals is if he plays every game.
Right.
And if he plays every game, they're gonna lose a lot more games than they should be.
Okay, I get you. I think it's interesting because even if he shouldn't be playing every game, having him as an option for these games is different to what Firmino offers you or what Jota offers you, right? I think Salah and Diaz, they're the level of players who can play every week and they can play against every type of team.
Yeah.
And they're going to be effective pretty much most of the time. They're top players. And just having the option of the other three for whichever game you're looking for. Obviously, at times Jota will probably play wide, as if one of the wingers is out, or even Darwin. Darwin has played on the left a lot in his career as well.
He shouldn't touch the left, especially when they have. How can you go from Luis Diaz to Darwin?
I feel you. But yeah. So,
let's talk a bit more about the players that are already here. Mo Salah, Liverpool legend, future Liverpool legend Luis Diaz. What a player! What a signing!
Yeah.
In January. How do you? Obviously, he's impressed everyone. When he came in January, no one really knew what to expect when he was gonna come in. He hit the ground running.
Yeah. He's so good that he makes the Mane departure less of a blow. That's how good he is. You kind of look at it and you go, okay, now that they have Diaz, it's not the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's a top player. He adjusted straight away.
Do you feel like obviously players when they come in Jan to the Premier League especially, usually they don't really hit the ground running, and it takes a few months or maybe even a whole season for them to get used to the Premier League and then start showing what they're really made of. Do you think he can even go up a few gears?
I think he's got more. I think he's got more to him. Yeah, for sure. I think with a year in a settled team, in this team, I think he can get more goals. I think he can add more to the game. He's got a bit of everything, and he's, the thing about him is that he wins the ball high up the pitch, just like Mane used to, but maybe even more. But then you can also use him as a midfielder. You can have him picking up the ball from deep and giving it. You can use him in so many different ways. It's a great signing. Yeah.
So what is?
I guess the question now is what's success for Liverpool this season? Where do you see them finishing? Do you see Liverpool winning the league? Firstly,
no, it's not guaranteed.
Not guaranteed.
No.
Are they your favourites?
No, I think Man City are still my favourites.
Okay, I agree with you.
Yeah,
I think Man City are everyone's favourites. That with the Haaland signing, If they don't win the league, then we all know whose fault that's gonna be.
I think I can't see Man City not winning the league unless Haaland gets injured. That's the only way, really. And then in that way, if that happens, I would say Liverpool will win the league. I think there's still a gap after the top two, personally. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do. I do think there's a gap. I mean, I think the gap this season will be a bit smaller than the gap last season. I mean, Chelsea was supposed to be up there with them, but they weren't anywhere to be seen.
I think the Núñez signing has brought Tottenham closer to the title.
Okay, I can see that. You know what? This is a good question. Who has a better attack now? Whose attack would you rather have? Liverpool's or Tottenham's?
Ooh, it's got to be Tottenham's, I think. Because obviously Salah and Diaz, these are two world-class players.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah. But then Harry Kane's undoubtedly world-class player. And Kulusevski and Son are top players. And then if we're talking about the benches as well, Richarlison can definitely compare to the guys on Liverpool's bench. And Lucas Moura, good players.
We all know Lucas Moura, what he can do.
Yeah.
That's a good player.
Yeah. So it's a tough one, right? But, I mean, Tottenham should be up there as long as Conte doesn't lose his head.
They're closer to Liverpool than people realise, I think.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that.
The Nunes signing is a big factor in that.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. Nunes, he could be a great player. I could be wrong. So I'm only human.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, I think Liverpool. I don't think they'll win any trophies this season. Maybe the FA Cup.
That's what you just said. You don't think they'll win any trophies this season?
Maybe FA Cup or Carabao.
But no Champions League or Premier League.
They're not winning that stuff.
I think the Champions League is a bit of luck of the draw, right? Because I think with the Champions League, there's my favourites are City, Liverpool, Bayern Munich. Personally, those are the teams. Real Madrid are probably still in the convo again as well. They're the teams I'd say are favourites, and depending on who has the best run to the final, I think any of them could win it really. So I think they could win. They could. You're right. They could win nothing. They could win everything.
Just think about like when Liverpool looked at their best last season. Okay, let's talk about last season. Yeah, when they looked at their best when their front three was Salah, Diaz, and Mane.
For sure.
When Jota came in, they're still Liverpool. They still have great players all over the pitch, but they missed something. They missed that. They missed that creativity in the middle of the pitch.
Yeah.
When they have someone like Mane, when they had Firmino when he was at his best, up front, they're able to create from all different types of angles. Now with Darwin Núñez there, they gotta avoid that area. You have to avoid that area.
I get that, and because what you had with Jota, he would still get you goals. He would still work hard, things like that. But yeah, he's not that guy. He doesn't connect everything together. And I agree. Núñez is even more so than Jota, not that type of player. So
we'll see. We'll see.
You know what? Firmino he's still there. He's still a good player.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a case of just Klopp needs to use him in the right games, use Núñez in the right games, use Jota in the right games, and if he does that, maybe they just win all the time. They've got enough. Their team is good enough to win most games. That's the thing. So I can't rule them out of any race.
The Núñez signing is their first bad signing since Klopp took over.
That's a huge shout. I mean, Karius. Yeah.
Okay. Apart from Karius,
there's guys that have they're definitely questionable.
But
like
this guy is
Oxlade
Chamberlain. Almost 100 mil.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Oxlade has some good moments,
I think Núñez will have good moments as well.
Yeah,
but maybe not 100 mil worth of moments.
We'll see.
Yeah. Okay, I guess that was the Liverpool episode.
Yeah.
Very positive season for them, I think, coming up, but
not as positive as Mane's era. But every era has the end too, right?
Yeah. All right.